Sure, I'd love to. Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing well. I'd just like to call this meeting to order. The date is 1/25/2022, and it's 3:06 p.m. and it's the first meeting of the College Advisory Board of 2022. So would the secretary like to do roll call?
Okay, he's trying to get you back on. All right, I have, is Kaylee on? Jenna Cusack. Diego. Patricia Springs. Jacqueline Flanagan. Kelly Curry is here. Alexis Little. English Bonds. Amir is not going to be here today. Sid is here. Hannah Coates.
Here.
Christopher Lee. Makai Harris. Caitlin Ferrier. That is the list. We have 3 members in attendance.
Okay, I'd like to move on to the first item of the agenda, which is going to be approving the minutes from November's meeting.
So Sid, there's actually not a quorum to vote, and in the interest of our guests, we might just want to focus on the NLC project today, especially since we don't have the quorum and we have our other members. So
perfect. All right. Well, thank you for letting me know. I guess we'll just move right on to the item of general business, which is going to be the National League of Cities community of practice on addressing the basic needs of post-secondary students. So I'd like to hear whatever updates that we have on that, and then I'd like to also share some of the updates on Wake Forest end, as me and Hannah can speak to that, since we both represent Wake Forest regarding the IRB process.
So since I'm the only other school represented here for Salem College, I did reach out to our administrator who is in, who handles the IRBs. I did look at the IRB form that he told me we would have to fill out. I had a lot of questions, so I reached out to Myra, who was part of this project last year. She said that she had started that process, but the questions changed and it was never completed. And I had sent Jamie a list of questions earlier today. You know, how was it supposed to be administered? Was there agreed upon text for an email to go to the student body? How is that typically handled? And Jamie, there were several other questions that I had. I felt like I was kind of behind. I didn't have enough information or knowledge of the project yet to feel like I could complete our IRB. I know that Winston-Salem State had an administrator that helped them complete theirs, and I didn't know whether they would be able to share that one with us or not, so that we could see how they filled it out. Wake, I don't know whether you've completed your IRB or not, and if you would be able to share any tips or points with me that that I can get that process completed. We're already to the end of January, and we still don't have our surveys out.
Hi, Kelly. This is Cornelius from Winston-Salem State. I can reach out to our internal assessment and research team and see if I could pull down a copy of how we completed that questionnaire for them and share that with you.
That would be wonderful. My other concern was about the content of the email that we would send out to the student body. It seemed to me like we should have some kind of an introduction of what the project is, why it's important for them to complete this survey, to give us valuable input and feedback. And I don't have enough of that background yet that I feel like I can craft that email. So I'm open to whatever assistance I can get to get up to speed so that once we get the IRB approved, the email can go out almost immediately.
No, I think that's a great idea. I think before we completed our IRB, there was a professor from Chapel Hill that joined us and gave us some direction based on some work that she's done. I think she might be able to have some great advice on how to craft something short enough to get students' attention and then encourage them enough to actually complete it, because that's something that we haven't done. We haven't crafted that message yet. So
Yeah, we're all kind of in the same boat, right? So it seems like the message should be consistent across all the schools, so that one is, we're not calling out anything in particular. It's a very generic, this is why we're doing this is why this is important, and this is why your feedback is important. And it just feels like we should all be sending the same message.
yeah. And would you be able to drop your email in the chat so that I can share that
will.
information with you? Thanks.
And thank you for the assistance. I think it's going to help Wake and the other schools as well. As much as we can do this together and get the message that we want crafted together, I think the better off we're going to be.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Graves, if you don't mind to copy Wanda and I on that, and that way we can make sure that all of CAB receives it.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And my apologies, everyone, for the technical issues that apparently just kind of popped up. I was able to hear everything that was said. And Kelly Jo, thank you for sharing your concerns. I just wanted to interject because Mr. Graves, I think Dr. Mitchell had already gotten in touch with someone. I cannot remember the person's name on Wake's campus. I don't know if what he was able to share with that person or what that person was able to share with him might be of benefit to others who are on other campuses. Do you happen to know anything about that?
No, I'll reach out to him and I'll connect him with Kelly as well, just so that they're able to have a conversation. Because he was actually
Okay.
helping to lead the charge on the IRB on our campus. So.
And then the last part of that for me was, where do the results go? How do the results get tabulated? Who gets to see those results? And how do we get them all together and get them collated so that we have a consistent message across all of the schools?
And Kelly Jo, to answer that question, the results would come back to us here at the city, and we would probably continue as we've, as Mr. Graves already stated, working with our point of contact at UNC Chapel Hill for synthesizing all of that data and trying to make some type of meaningful commentary about what it means. Because the whole purpose was to gauge exactly how bad the issues of hunger and housing accessibility are for post-secondary students. And so that information would come back to us, and we would work together with our resource over at UNC Chapel Hill to take the further steps.
Okay, so in hearing that, is there a specific link that needs to be embedded in the email so that those results all get tabulated in the same type of application so that they all go back to Chapel Hill?
I don't know that we have to take it that far. I know that there was some discussion about how that data would be synthesized, but again, the professor that we're working with at UNC planned to kind of take the lead on that for us. And so we didn't get that deep into the weeds about how she would do it and so forth, but it's not something that we would be doing per se through the college advisory board. So you wouldn't have to worry about that part of it.
Well, my question is, when we send the email out, there's got to be some way for them to get to the questions and provide the answers. So I would think she would want them to all go into one particular application, having done this many times in the past, to, so that she's got all the data in one place. So perhaps she has that information and we could talk with her when we craft the email so
And
that we have
again,
the.
she may very well, Kelly Jo. I just don't want us to get too caught up in that part. The main thing is to make sure that we understand exactly what we're trying to do. And yes, she has all of that information. She knows, she has her methodology already in place. She shared that with us some time ago. But again, we just want to make sure that we at least go ahead and launch the survey. And then once those results come back to us, then we would be able to work with her in terms of how she's going to figure out how to present that information back in a way that is tangible for everyone. So anyway, but I thank you for the questions, and we can certainly talk outside of this meeting, because we do want to make sure that everyone on the meeting has self-introduced. Have you all had a chance to do that yet? No self-introductions yet, Sid?
No.
Okay, all right. Sid, would you mind starting with self-introductions for yourself, and then everyone on CAB can do the same, and then we can self-introduce the Human Relations DEI staff who are here and the members of our NLC cohort, just so everybody can be on the same page.
Of course, I'd love to start. My name is Sid Subramanian. I am a sophomore right now at representing Wake Forest University, and as of right now, I serve as the chair for the College Advisory Board.
And I am Kelly Curry. I am a senior at Salem College, studying pre-med health sciences with an English professional writing minor. And I serve as the secretary for the CAB.
My name is Hannah Coates. I'm a senior at Wake Forest University, and I'm a double major in English and sociology with a minor in politics. And I am serving on the Public Relations Committee of CAB.
Thank you, CAB members. Thank you, CAB members. Now, for our Human Relations DEI staff, Jamie, would you like to start us off?
Sure, I'm Jamie Waldeck. I'm a Human Relations DEI Outreach Specialist, and I get to work with the College Advisory Board and all their projects.
Hi, I'm Iris McKnight. I am a fair housing investigator as well as a landlord and tenant mediator.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brittany Pitts. I am the Equity Assurance Administrator, and I work on the DEI side of the house, the DEI team. Nice to see everyone.
And just good afternoon, everyone. My name's Shane Taylor. Use he, him, his pronouns. Day 2 on the job, Equity Inclusion Coordinator for the City of Winston-Salem on the DEI side.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carlin Duncan. I'm the intake specialist as well as the administrative assistant for the department. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you to our Human Relations DEI staff who are present today. Our NLC cohort team, would you mind self-introducing very quickly?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cornelius Graves. I am Director of External Relations at Winston-Salem State University.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is
Who'd like to go next?
Good afternoon. I'm Melvin Parker. I'm the Senior Planning Supervisor in the Community Development Department.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Mariah, would you like to self-introduce?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariah Gendy. I am the Food Resilience Program Manager with the City of Winston, the Office of Sustainability.
I'm sorry, Zena.
No one is from Perfectly okay. My name is Zena Johnson. I'm Community Assistant Liaison with the North Ward. I am present on behalf of Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Denise Adams. It's a pleasure to see everyone.
Thank you so much. Did we get everyone? Okay, just wanted to get that out of the way so we'd know who's who. So Sid, thank you for allowing me to do that. And so I do believe that what we needed to talk about today was exactly what we've been doing, is where are we with the IRB on the respective campuses. Kelly shared her status. Sid, I know you said you had updates to share as well. Did you want to go ahead and do that?
Sure, I'd love to. With regards to our IRB, which was in conjunction with Winston-Salem State's, all of the training on behalf of our team is completed. And we're just about ready to finalize the last few things and just select our PI for the project. And we already have in mind who we're going to select. So just getting that last thing done, and I expect it to be done by the end of this week. And hopefully the surveys can be sent out soon, because from my past experience with the IRB process, surveys like this generally are fast tracked and should be back in under 2 weeks. And there are potential revisions that we see, but those tend to come in quite quickly and they'll be addressed as soon as they come up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sid. Hannah, did you have anything to add to that?
No, just that we're in communication with coordinating our PI, and then we should be good to go from there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Can someone
And
define for
so
me
just to give everyone
what a PI is?
Yeah, I can go. A PI is just the principal investigator. So it has to be a member of the faculty or a senior staff person, as we were told by our main IRB, liaison at Wake Forest. So yeah, in that case, we're just reaching out directly to the Office of Civic and Community Engagement and the staff members, basically as a part of that organization, because they were the ones who have kind of connected me and Hannah to CAB itself. So it just makes the most sense for us to reach out to them and kind of seek them as one of our PIs. That's the direction we're thinking of going in right now.
You obviously have more experience than Kelly does with an IRB, because this is my first one ever. So thank you for taking the time to help me understand more.
No problem at all.
Okay, so what we wanted to do today, since we have our guests on from our NLC cohort, is just remind everyone, or give actually a general overview, refresher of what we are seeking to accomplish. And basically, we are engaged in a grant period with the National League of Cities to implement our proposal that we submitted on behalf of the city of Winston-Salem and Winston-Salem State University as the lead post-secondary institution here in Winston-Salem. And this grant is an in-kind grant, and we were one of 13 other cities nationwide at the time to receive this particular grant opportunity. Now, what we focused on in our proposal was a way, or ways in which we can partner, we being the city, can partner with post-secondary institutions, with, again, Winston-Salem State being the lead secondary institution, on removing barriers to food and housing accessibility. And so what we're talking about is not only identifying those barriers, but also identifying policies, practices, and procedures that can be implemented both on the post-secondary side and the city side to make sure that those barriers are not going to obstruct students from being able to graduate. And so that's the whole premise of what this grant is all about. And so a requirement is that each awardee create basically a cohort, a local cohort of stakeholders. And these stakeholders would come together and figure out different things that can be done to address the issues. And so for the hunger side of what we're discussing, we do have Mariah on that side with a few other people who are seeking to figure out what partnerships could be out there that the city could probably help to somewhat streamline on behalf of college students and city government. And one such identified area was working with farmers markets, local farmers markets, to make sure that perhaps students who have food cards, like for instance, Winston-Salem State, they have the RAM card, to make sure maybe the RAM card could be accepted at farmers markets, so that students could have access to healthy food choices. And we also have another partner who's not on here today, that is a local restaurant that is willing to work with us to make sure that students have access to affordable, healthy food choices for hot meals. And so we have started this, but we're starting to go into the phase of implementation. We know that we've identified those partners and identified different things that we could undertake to address the barriers, but now we're slowly getting into the implementation phase. So that is why we wanted to have the cohort meet with CAB today. Now for the housing side, we have been working with the city's community development department to ensure that there are affordable housing units or apartments, multifamily, whatever, for students to be able to afford off campus. Because of course, with the pandemic and other challenges that students have had to deal with, housing could also be an issue for some, because some students are from out of state and so on. They have different circumstances. We want to make sure that we're sensitive to the fact that there may be challenges and problems with housing accessibility and affordability. And so Winston-Salem State is in the process of working with some property owners, apartment complex owners, and so on, to see if there could possibly be some units set aside for student housing. And how could they get creative with ensuring that students are able to pay the rent and maybe work in tandem with their respective universities to do so. So that's, in a very big nutshell, most of what we're working on right now. Now, the student surveys also are important because they help to make sure that we're on track with identifying the barriers and the possible solutions based on what we see in the results. So that's my huge nutshell version of what's going on with the grant. And that's our overview. And so this is the time to ask any questions you may have for clarity. And if I missed anything, to our partners, Winston-Salem State, Community Development, our Food Resilience Manager, if I missed anything, please feel free to add.
No, Wanda, I think you've hit everything on the head. I'd just add, as a quick update from Winston-Salem State's perspective, we have pretty much everything in place in terms of what will be needed in order for businesses, both retail and restaurant food options, to use the RAM card. It's just a matter of connecting them with our Business Auxiliary Services Division and them working with the vendor, which is UGRID, that's UGRYD, in order to make that relationship happen. I have a follow-up meeting with our folks on campus next week, so I'll be able to provide a little bit more detail on what will be needed for that to happen. But just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Graves. That is a great update from Winston-Salem State. It's good to know that things are progressing. Did anyone have any other items to add or comments to make? Since we do have the majority of our cohort on the call.
Hi.
Mariah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're okay. I'd like to jump in. So I had the opportunity to connect with Jamie earlier today. Just so folks know, I'm about 3 months into my role with the city, so been involved in a lot of learning. And so with fresh eyes comes fresh perspective, I think. And so Jamie was kind enough to sort of give me an update about how this project has progressed over time. And so to offer some of the thoughts and comments that I had from our previous meeting, I think in thinking through this role or the work that you guys have been growing, in terms of connecting with the farmers market, I think, the best thought I think would be the Fairgrounds Farmers Market, which is city managed. I think that it would be ideal for rolling out a program like this for a number of reasons. Since it's city run, it's probably easier to make a connection in terms of how to facilitate this type of program. It's year round, and it has a pretty consistent vendor platform. I think other farmers markets in Winston-Salem may have the opportunity to grow into it, but I think private and public partnership probably takes a little bit more time to coordinate. And then the other farmers market that's city managed is the Liberty Street Farmers Market. It's still very new and a lot of changes are coming this next year. And I don't know that they have as consistent of a vendor presence. And the market is also mostly summer season, which is not necessarily the best timing for students. It doesn't necessarily correlate with like the school year calendar. So for those reasons, I think Fairgrounds Farmers Market would be a good avenue. And I don't know who would be the most appropriate person to have a follow-up, but I plan to connect with the folks who manage that program. And so I'm happy to maybe make this connection if necessary. In terms of working to have college students be able to spend meal plan dollars at a farmer's market, it sounds like Winston-Salem State has made good progress on that. I'm a Wake alum personally, and so I'm familiar with the Wake's meal plan, and I know they use Airmark. I'm not sure how it stands today, but I also understand that sometimes it can be tricky to use food dollars that are appropriated by a contracted service for other food, and not just like necessarily going to like a farmer's market, but even if you like wanted to have catering on campus for an event that wasn't Airmark specific, or I know there's some non-compete clauses in there. I don't know if anyone wants to comment from the Wake side or the Salem College side on if that's been any kind of how that could be coordinated. But I see that as a barrier in maybe getting a program like this off the ground. I also think that, farmers markets specialize in fresh produce. I wonder if there are other barriers that college students may face in terms of preparing healthy, nutritious meals, in terms of access to storage and preparation space. Most dorm rooms, I don't know, come equipped with kitchens or kitchenettes. And so I don't know how those aspects could be thought through as well. So those are just some thoughts I'm going to put on the table. I feel like this group can probably discuss. And then the last thought I have is I wonder what other programs we could possibly work to connect to in terms of providing food access. Again, as a Wake alum, I'm familiar that Wake runs a campus kitchen program, which is a food resource and allocation group that they work to repurpose food to community partners in Winston-Salem that are food insecure. But as a student, I know that if it was well known, at least in my time, that if you needed a meal, you could always go to Campus Kitchen to get a meal. So I wonder if there's ways that we could create partnerships with programs such as that, or Forsyth Backpack, I think, is also another group in Winston-Salem that does food-related work, and they design their backpack meals to where you don't need to have a kitchen service, like in terms of having like a refrigerator, a preparation space, or stove. And so I know that they provide meals through the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system up to high school age kids. So I wonder if there's a way that we could maybe make connections to possibly bring those types of services more onto college campuses as well. So fresh eyes, those are some of the thoughts that I have after my conversation with Jamie this morning.
Wow, thank you, Mariah. Awesome ideas, I think. Cab, what do you all think? Did you have any comments or questions for Mariah?
I know that Salem also uses Airmark, so we would have to check into how that would work with meal plans. As she stated, it's a contracted service. So could we, or would there have to be something different put in place? And I like the idea she had about using the kitchen or the backpack program. Are there others of those available? And once we know what kind of numbers we're looking at, would they be able to accommodate the numbers that we would be maybe sending their way?
And I'd also like to just talk a little bit about the situation at Wake. So yeah, I think you kind of basically hit on the money with basically how much Aramark kind of controls pretty much everything in terms of just the food that's produced, and they even work so much with Campus Kitchen in order to produce the meals. And in fact, Campus Kitchen and Aramark, they even share the space. So I'd say for the most part, it's kind of them controlling everything. The only real times where like there are like other free meal opportunities on campus are when there are food trucks, but those are normally just at variable times, and it's only not going to be at enough of a quantity that it's going to resolve the need that you see. And a lot of the items that you find in the stores when students just have jobs or have other things to do and can't make the hours of the main dining area, which kind of end at 8 a.m., which can be a bit tough for people who have shifts that kind of go more into the night. It's getting meals that cost maybe upwards of $10, $11 for just like a small box of food, and that can kind of run a lot in terms of costs. So I definitely see a need for it, and I'm really looking forward to just doing whatever I can to help.
Yeah, I think a lot of the critiques you raised are really important to be considering. Like Sid mentioned, there are some options that are done through food dollars. So Aramark does like our dining halls and events and things like that. But our food dollars can be used at restaurants and things like that, as well as the Deacon dollars, which are not through Aramark, I don't believe. So like we have Village Juice and Camino and Chick-fil-A and like those kinds of things that we're able to use food dollars for. So I think that there's a potential of maybe separating it out. Or I know we have a coffee shop on campus that's student run, and you can only use Deacon dollars, which is just like another form of payment that can also be used on books or things in the bookstores and items like that. It's kind of, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but there are separate payment options. So Aramark, I think, is just for the dining halls, and then the others are for some of the outside options. So I think that there is a potential to figure out a way to do it through those, but we'd probably have to work in accordance with what Aramark says as well.
Thank you, Cab. And so those of you on Wake's campus, can you undertake that, just doing a little more digging and finding all of that out so that we can take that into account moving forward? That would be awesome, just to kind of know, is that possible, as Mariah originally mentioned. So I think all of your points are very well taken. Kelly, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
We'll do the same at Salem to see what kind of programs are available other than the meal card. I know that Aramark does our cafe and our cafeteria, which are the only two places to get a meal on campus.
Thank you, Kelly. Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think
that would be awesome. No.
I was going to say, I understand, I think it was Hannah's point about there are other services. My understanding is that that's still contracted through Aramark. Like, I know they do the dining hall, but I think the contract to still do the ordering, like with Cisco, is Aramark managed. I think I would at least point the Wake people. I'm not as familiar with Salem State and Salem College, but I think Brad Schugel would be a great connection for y'all in the Office of Civic and Community Engagement. I know you said I'm sorry, I forget the title, but is it your IR, your point person who's a faculty member or staff member is in Civic and Community Engagement? So Brad Schugel is also as well. And I think he's pretty knowledgeable on how that contract operates, as he's the person who also heads up the Campus Kitchen project. So again, I think he'd be a great resource.
Awesome, we'll look into that. And it very well might be under Aramark, so that's something we'll look into. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariah. And so just a couple more minutes to focus on this. I wanted to ask Ms. Parker, do you have anything that you think that Winston-Salem State should be doing, or that any of the CAB members should be doing in order to facilitate how to identify and partner on some affordable housing units?
Yes, absolutely. One thing that I would like to bring up as far as the affordable housing piece, one of our charge from City Council is for us to make sure that we, as we continue to work with developers, is to strongly look at making sure that we are talking to our developers about set-asides for affordable housing. And when we talk about affordable housing, that is making sure that we have set-asides when they borrow money from the city, is that usually, generally, we do not put in more than 20%. Our money is gap financing. So when we put in 20% of the money towards their development costs, as partners, they need to set aside X number of units for set-asides, which could be 80% of medium, 60%, or 50%. So some of the students could qualify for some of those units. And at that time when developments are being done, for example, years ago, Kensington Village, which is off of Old Greensboro Road, has had a lot of Winston-Salem State students, some Salem College students, and Wake Forest students that were housed out in that apartment complex, and were good stewards as far as being accepted as good neighbors in the community. And we have other apartment complex like the Enclave. Just recently, we put in money into Southgate apartments. We're getting ready to start development off of a new complex called Rams Point. And when we do talk to developers, we mention for them to reach out to Winston-Salem State, Wake Forest, and Salem College, to their student housing staff, to make them aware that these apartments are coming offline. We as staff members cannot steer these developers and say that they have to set these number of units for the students. So we do give them, Winston-Salem State phone numbers, Salem College. We put them in that direction, but we cannot force them to do this. So we would like for you all to start looking at our finance committee meetings, our community development meetings on, during the month. Pull up the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency's website, because a lot of the developments are receiving money from the North Carolina Housing Finance Agencies for funding for apartment complexes in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. And they are coming to the cities for gap financing and for funding. And when those funds are available, those units that the city are providing money to, they have to set aside money, units for people that are 80%, 50%, and 60% of income. So again, we as a staff, there's only but so much that we can do. We can't steer people into setting aside units for students, but we can put the information out there. So it's your job as staff people to tell your students that these units are coming off and are going to be available.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madeline, for that. And CAB, did you all have any follow-up questions with respect to the housing access side of what we're doing?
So my question would be, if we meet with our housing administration on campus, who would we direct them to? Do we direct them to get with Mellon to get with more information? How would we direct them to let them know that this is a possibility?
You can start by giving them my contact information, and our staff would work with your staff to let them know that these are the websites that you can look at. These are the projects that are coming off. You can go to our website and see the types of units we've done in the past and how much money we put in. And yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, that is what we wanted to discuss today with respect to the NLC cohort partnership. And so CAB, hopefully you have a clearer understanding of where we are, what the status is, and same to our cohort team. Hopefully stakeholders have a clearer understanding too. And we will have a stakeholder meeting coming up in the coming days to further discuss, but we wanted to use this platform since this is CAB standing meeting time. So Sid and the rest of CAB, thank you for allowing us to use the majority of today's meeting for the NLC updates.
Can I just say one thing? I just want, I've taken quite a few notes. And I'm sorry that Mayor Pro Tem Adams wasn't able to attend today. But is there any message that you would specifically like delivered to her? Is there anything that you see that in any way that she can be more supportive of this NLC initiative? I'll be more than happy to take that message back.
Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson. We appreciate that. And of course, CAB, yes, if you do have any information that you would like relayed to our Mayor Pro Tem, Denise Adams, feel free to send that to, well, you can send it to me and I'll get it to Ms. Johnson and to Mayor Pro Tem Adams. Or you can send it to Jamie. Just make sure you send it to one of us and we'll get it to them. And so Sid, on the agenda, we are on the last item before adjourning, which is the staff reminders and information.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I was just pulling it up. Yep, so the last item, item 5 on the agenda is for the spring newsletter, article ideas and deadlines. So I'd just like to ask what particular thoughts we're having on in terms of what we would write for the spring. I know that the Hunger and Housing Needs Survey is going to be one of the major articles that I'd love to work on putting together. But I was just wondering what other topics were of interest.
If you all need to think about those topics, we can definitely table that to the February meeting, but we'll just need to get them finalized by the March meeting.
Quick question. Has the fall one already gone out? And if not, when is that happening?
So it is uploaded on the website. I do need to make a change that Kelly Joe had suggested. If you had any other changes from the one that we emailed out, please let me know so I can make those changes. Otherwise, it is on the website, and then it will be in your report to council in April.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Ms. Johnson,
Hannah, we'll make sure to send that final. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
Go ahead, Sid.
Oh yeah, Ms. Johnson appears to be raising your hand. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just going to say that we're going to send the final version of the newsletter to you via email once Jamie has made those changes so that you all can see it before it goes to council in your report in a few months.
And yeah, that all sounds good for that part, and I hope we can continue to finalize ideas for the spring newsletter. I guess we can move on to the second item, which is item 5B, the February meeting schedule. I think this time would work perfect for me next month, and I would like the rest of CAB to kind of say their availability for next month, or just their thoughts on a meeting at the same time next month.
I am fine with this time, but Amir let me know that he had to change his course schedule this semester, so this time does not work for him. It might help to send out another poll to see how things have changed since folks are not here today.
This time works for me too, but I'm open to other options as well.
Kelly,
Yeah.
do you remember what time Amir's class started? Was it 2?
Give me 1 second and I will go find the email.
I asked that just because when we give another doodle poll, would 12 o'clock be an option for the 3 of you that are here?
It would not be for, well, Tuesdays would be, yes.
Tuesday at noon?
Monday, Wednesdays when I run into issues.
I get out of class at 12:15 on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Let me find
I
his email.
start class at 12. Sorry for interrupting you, Ms. Curry, but I get out of class at I start class at 12:30, so I'm not sure if that time would work as well for me.
Okay.
He did not say what time his labs were. He said that one day works best for him. He has labs in the afternoon from Tuesday to Thursday. He has, well, perhaps an earlier time would work. I think 2 to 5:50 is the Tuesday lab time.
Sid's in class then, correct, Sid? Like earlier than 2?
Well, I'm in class till about 3:15 today, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yes, to your point, Kelly, I think we do need to do another poll.
Well, we
So
can
Jamie,
speak for
can
the
you
ones of
handle
us
that
who are
for-
here, but there are several that are not, and Amir's the
Right.
only one who reached out with a preference.
Right, right.
And the last item on the agenda today, item 5C, would be any upcoming events. So I think one of the top things on the list, one of the top things on that list would be the collegiate trust talks. And right now, I'm not quite sure of what the date for that is, what time it is this spring. So I just want to kind of raise it up and to the rest of CAB as well as the other representatives from City of Winston-Salem, just to see what time we would be thinking for the collegiate trust talks.
As I recall, we had it to do as the CAB to offer several dates to the chief of police, dates and times, so that she could select one that would be convenient for her. So I think we'll have to go back and address that again once we get the members of that committee together.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
And we, just for clarification, we are looking at dates in March and April. That's typically when Collegiate Trust Talks is held, either in March or April. So I know you all have spring break around that time and maybe prepping for finals, depending on how late you go with it in April. So yes, please think about some good dates. And usually it is in the evening, and it may very well be virtual the way things are looking. And so usually it would start like around 5:30-ish, something like that.
All right, that all sounds good. And given that all the items on the agenda are addressed, we're finally at item 6, which is to adjourn. So I would like to make a motion to adjourn the College Advisory Board, the first session of the new year 2022 at 3:55 p.m. on the 25th of January 2022. Are there any seconds to this motion?
I second your motion.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.